He bought it, it was running, driving. He ran it for a while. And then he drove it a good bit. Coming back from a local car show, the engine compartment caught on fire.
The car hits the wall and bursts into flames.
He said there's about to be one less Superbird in the world.
Guys, how's it going?
Good.
Thanks for joining us on the Original MotorCar video podcast.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, really appreciate the time. And I feel like this is a super, super awesome treat for us because I've never seen a Superbird in person. I feel like most people probably haven't. They're super, super rare. Super rare, supercar, Superbird.
You got it.
Tell me about it.
One of just over 1,900 made. The numbers been argumented between 1,900 and 2,000.
Okay.
They had to make a production car for NASCAR,
Okay.
and that's the only reason they built them. So
Okay.
they could win NASCAR and get Richard Petty back on Plymouth instead of Ford, because he jumped ship for 1 year. They
Okay.
wanted him back.
I think I heard you say they did one for every 2 dealerships.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why the odd number. Yeah, that was a NASCAR rule.
So they built
In
just enough.
The year before, they only had to build 500 for production.
Okay.
So
Got it. And then who do you have with you here?
This is Jamie Cooper, Supercar Restoration.
So Jamie, why are you here with the Superbird?
So we restored this car several years ago, I guess. But it's nice to get out with friends that we have that bring their cars here. Randy, unfortunately, is not able to be here, but there's a lot of effort that goes into put in a car like this or any restoration together. So to get it out there and let it be known, what we do and actually show off this particular car is great. Like you said, you don't see these every day. They weren't real popular. They had trouble selling the cars, back in the 70s. So
It's a little extreme.
it is,
Yeah,
no doubt
Look,
about it.
extreme aero, I guess, is the
A
term,
lot of them
right?
sat in dealerships collecting dust. They couldn't get rid of them.
Yeah, and I would imagine it was probably pretty expensive with all the add-on features, right? Big engine and
Yeah, they were. They were over, I think they were over 4,000, but I'm
Okay.
not sure on the price of that. So
yeah, $4,000 in 1970. That was a good chunk of change.
For sure.
yeah,
They had Hemi birds. This is a 440 six-pack.
then
so
they
there
made
were-
the 444 barrel too.
Yeah, so there was three different engine plants, that you could get in these cars. So this is the middle of the road, I guess, as
Okay.
far as the engine plant goes.
Got it.
But it's a car that Randy's owned since the early 80s, middle 80s, I guess. So he's owned the car.
So Randy's the owner, and Joe, you are...
He's my cousin.
Okay. So you have a lot of familiarity with the car.
Yeah.
And you said Randy's owned it since the mid-'80s?
Yes.
Okay,
Correct. Yep.
got it. Tell me, Joe, what your experience with the car as, as the cousin of the owner, how did this come to be in the family, and what stories do you have to tell?
At the time, he had a 66 Coronet with a 440 in it, and he had a neighbor that wanted that car in the worst way. He told him, the only way I'll sell it is if you find me a Superbird. He kept bringing ads up, and they finally found this one. Randy made the deal on buying this so that guy could buy his Coronet.
Huh.
So that's how it all ended up.
So
with
did the
him.
neighbor actually buy the Superbird first and then trade it with Randy, or he
No,
just
he
said, "I
just-
found
I
one.
found
Let's
you
all."
one. Here's the money for the Coronet. Go buy your Superbird.
Okay. And is this the original color and everything with
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Okay.
He bought it. It was running, driving. He ran it for a while. Did one exterior paint job on the car, and then he drove it a good bit. What was it, like 2014 or something? Coming back from a local car show, the engine compartment caught on fire. He said there's about to be one less Superbird in the world until some other guys stopped and helped him put the fire out underneath it.
Oh wow.
And then it started. He's going to do the engine compartment, redo the engine. Well, next thing you know, he's out talking to Jamie here saying, "Can we paint this?"
So Randy's intention was just to, fix the problem and address the paint issue in the hood engine compartment area in the hood, and actually sent the hood out to get acid tanked, and we were going to, epoxy it and paint the hood for him. And then as he was going through the car, and him knowing what we did, and Joe and I were partners, So Joe and him, obviously Randy would come to the shop, and it's kind of when he saw us, like, hey, I think I really want
Okay.
to take this car to the next level.
So now, are both of you guys? Do you guys work together?
We do, yeah.
Okay. I'm starting to understand the relationships now a little bit. So tell me about that. Tell me what you guys do and how that relates to the car and all that.
2014, Joe and I bought a building and went into the restoration. We had worked in shops previous. I was involved in collision and restoration. Joe, the shop that I was at, I hired Joe to do fabricating in there, and then
In restoration.
and then in 2014, we decided that this is what we wanted to do on our own. So it was just Joe and I in a 3,000 square foot facility. And fast forward 10 years, there's 15 employees. We're 13,000 square feet.
Wow.
So we've grown quite a bit in the 10 years, and this is just something that we're passionate about and we love.
I guess so. I mean, it sounds like to experience that type of growth, you've got to enjoy the work. You got to be good at it. You have to have happy customers too.
Yeah. And then there's a lot of people with it, around you that has helped make this possible. Supercar Workshop, we do a lot of fabricated body and paint work for them. They're restorers as well, similar to Rick Nelson from MOTORCar Restoration and Design. We do his fabricated body and paint work.
Okay.
Not only that, then we do our complete restorations
Got it.
on our own as well. So we stay rather busy. We have a pretty good log of work. We usually have 8 or 9 cars in process at the same time.
Okay.
So I've always been a GM lover at heart. I like Camaros. I do like Chevelles. We've been blessed to do plenty of GMs. Joe, on the other hand, is
Been a Mopar guy.
He's been a Mopar guy his whole life. So that has kind of come together where we have the opportunity to do both lines, and then also we've done plenty of Fords as well. So we're blessed to have people around us like Supercar Workshop, who trust us to do the fabricated body and paintwork on their projects, and not only that, Rick Nelson from MOTORCar Restoration and Design. So they keep us busy. Those two companies keep us busy in the fabricating body and paintwork.
And what did you say Supercar Workshop was again?
Brian and Henderson and Joe Sweezy own Supercar Workshop.
And that is how are they different?
They're restorers. We're Supercar Restoration. They're Supercar Workshop.
So you're both kind of doing similar things, but two different companies.
We are. So our shops are about 40 miles apart.
Okay, got
so
it.
they'll disassemble and then do components,
Okay.
and then they'll reassemble the car. Anything that is painted on the car, from
That's
an
what
oil
we
pan to a shock, to obviously the bodies and sheet metal, fan blades. We do all of that for them.
Oh, okay, got it. So you're working together on different parts of that restoration.
We are.
process.
So with
Yeah.
Brian and Joe are Camaro guys. They do a lot of Camaros and Novas, first gen Camaros and Novas. So we've learned to know those cars.
Yeah.
Where Joe had a pretty good background in Mopars, so that
Yeah.
is kind of put us into
Complementary.
that.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
So tell me about your start in all this, Joe. Where did the car bug start for
Well,
you?
my dad was always the local backyard mechanic working on people's cars, and then my cousin Randy, he's always been a Mopar guy, and I hung around with him a lot, and it rubbed off. So we found a '68 Roadrunner, and back whenever I was doing it, you couldn't just open up a catalog and buy parts. You had to run to every junkyard you could find to find usable parts, and Randy's the one that ran me all over the place back then, looking for parts to build a car.
Okay.
So it's been a long relationship with the two of us in cars. A lot of good times.
Got it. I always find it funny how, you see GM guys, or even specifically Chevy guys or Pontiac guys or, Mopar guys. I find that funny when you step back and look at it, because, they're all great.
Yeah.
But
They
I think
are.
we just sort of get attached to a brand or something that's familiar based on something that happens in our youth, I guess.
That's what I think it is. Whatever made an impression on you at a certain age. Like I said, my cousins, they were Mopar guys, so that's kind of what I fell towards. That's what my dad owned. But you walk around here and you look at cars, it's like, man, that's a beautiful car.
Yeah.
I really like that. And you work on GMs, you work on the Fords, you can appreciate any of them that somebody takes time to do and do a nice job on. And stuff.
Absolutely.
So that's where it comes from with us now. Whatever
Yeah,
you're
you
working,
always-
whatever you're working on, you think is the greatest car there is. You just fall in love with what you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's the running joke at the shop. You know, you're always ripping the guy that likes the Ford or the Mopar or the Chevy, and at the end of the day, it's, you know, we're passionate about all the cars that we build, and you know, there's not a one that we wouldn't take home with us, no matter what make or model.
Absolutely. So what is it about the Superbird, I guess, that makes it such a unique car and made it so that there were so few, you know, we talked about the NASCAR qualification. They had to, it was made, I guess, to compete, be more competitive in NASCAR and meet those regulations for, it had to be sold at so many dealerships, I guess.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about that, and then some of the unique features of the Superbird configuration.
The unique features are the nose on it, and those are actually coronet fenders that they incorporated into it, so the nose would fit better. And then the wing on the back for the down pressure on the rear wheels.
Okay.
Between the Dodge Daytona that they made in '69 and this '70, they were the first cars in NASCAR to hit 200 mile an hour, which brought on the safety standards. They were outlawed the next year because they were too fast. That's when NASCAR come up with the 350 cubic inch limit on the engines,
Okay.
because some of these were just going too fast and they considered them too dangerous. So that's why they were only built to 1 year. There's no point in Plymouth building them again if you can't race them.
Yeah, especially if it sounds like they weren't really selling too fast
No.
either.
We're a hot
So
item.
Their motto
Yeah.
was, how they used to say that in racing, win on Sunday, sell on Monday.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's what they wanted.
And tell me again the engine that's in this.
This is a 446 pack
446
Yes.
pack. Okay, got it.
with the 4-speed and the Dana rear end. It's
Okay.
kind of
Got
you
it.
could get them with an automatic too.
So this is exactly stock configuration here,
Yes.
just as it would have come off the
Yeah.
line. Do you know what plant this was built in?
They built them in Detroit, Michigan, Lynch Road.
Lynch Road. Okay.
That's where
Got
all
it.
the Plymouth Superbird Roadrunners were made.
Okay.
And then they sent them to a company, Creative Industries,
Okay.
and they put the nose and the wing on them and
Okay. Okay.
redid
So
all that stuff.
so basically the non Superbird was the Roadrunner.
Yes.
And then Roadrunner had its own fenders, but these fenders are from the Cornet.
Yeah.
Because that fit with the nose.
Fit with the nose they wanted to put on them.
Got it. Okay. Well, that's great. So the Plymouth graphics, all that stuff is original to the
Yeah.
way it would have been.
Yep.
Very, very cool. Really cool. So how's the experience been at the show? We're in Cleveland at the, it's a super long name for the show. It's like the Summit Racing IX piston powered autorama. How's the experience been in and out of the facility and all
It's
that?
good. This is a great facility to get a car into and get a car out of. We were here last year and it's very painless to come in and set up and get out. People are fantastic. It's
Yeah, the cars
good.
flow right in and out
Yeah.
of the building. Plenty of trailer parking. It's really effortless, and the hospitality here is good. A lot of good cars. There's like this, a concourse restored car. There's street rods. There's just
Yeah, it seems like they've
wide
got
variety.
every corner of this facility filled up with cars.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
this is like the sort of the basement ballroom, I think, for the convention center. But
Yeah.
I mean, this just alone, just this floor, is impressive. And then you go upstairs and see how much more there is.
If you like stuff
Amazing.
with wheels, come check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, wheels and motors. This is the place to be
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, I'm glad that we actually had, you know, we've had a few little dry spots. Hopefully people didn't get their cars too wet rolling in and out. I know
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah.
it tough, but I noticed one thing that was also nice about the exterior is the ramp that came in. I think that's under a cover, right? That area?
It is,
covered?
yeah. Outside,
So that makes it
there
nice.
is a place outside to unload where you have some cover, and there's just a short area,
Yeah.
you know, where you can unload to get into the building. But we were fortunate, you know, to have the weather we had. We
Yeah.
dodged some raindrops, but it was effortless getting in here.
Now, one question I have for you guys is how I'm sure a lot of your business is in restoration is word of mouth. You're probably having people refer based on happy customers. You know, they're telling their friends. You probably meet people at shows. Are there other ways that you guys market yourselves and promote your services?
You know, we have Facebook, we have you know, our website, but honestly, you know, we've done a couple Shelbys, and you know, the first one we did, the gentleman belonged to a Shelby club, so you know, his friend in the Shelby club decided to have one done as well. So you know, that's where word of mouth helps. And honestly, you know, if you're a car guy and you're into this, likely your friends are as well. So it's pretty contagious. you know, if you're looking to get a car restored. You know, if you're looking to get a car restored or you have a car restored, this is a place to be. I mean, there's plenty of builders out there. You know, you have the opportunity to talk to them, talk about the build, and get a look at what they're
what
actually
kind of
doing.
work they do.
Yeah,
That's important.
absolutely. I would imagine that as your company has grown, it's probably been a little bit more difficult to do as much hands-on work. Do you find yourself managing others more now, or are you still able to do a lot of the hands-on work yourself?
Typically, yeah, it does get to be a challenge, no doubt about it. But we're a boots on the ground.
We drag
guys.
him out of the office a lot.
Yeah.
I still, you know, I still paint all the hot rods.
Okay.
Still paint all of these cars. You know, we have 2 other painters. They'll do paint floors, components. There's other areas they do, but you know, they're very qualified and able to do what they do. I still love to do it as long as I can do it.
Sure.
You know, I want to be a part of it. So, you know, when you get 8 projects going, you know, there's a challenge in directing traffic, I guess, and getting what you need. But we have a good crew. We have a good front office staff that are good at sourcing some of the things we do. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, we've done cars for people that we've never met face to face. We've done several cars out of Canada. And I never met one gentleman we did an LS6
Never
for.
did meet him.
Never did meet him face to face, just phone conversations.
Yeah.
And, you know, the car got shipped back to him, and you know, just how it was. So
Do you ever have customers that want to actually come in and participate in the process?
We do. Yeah,
And do you allow that?
we do.
Okay.
You know, unfortunately, you don't always get that personal connection because when you do restorations all over the U.S., it's not always feasible. So we're in a small town of Clymer, Pennsylvania. You know, and there's people in Clymer that are just not restoring cars to this level for this caliber of car. We have done some local work.
Yeah.
We just
Randy come out and he sanded on the floors of his car, sanded components.
so this car was Brandy's pretty handy to our shop. You know, he's half hour. So we did a '48 Pontiac for a gentleman. Was 81 years old when we finished the car for him. His dad bought it new, so he polished all his own trim. So we absolutely welcome that. The friendships that you build, you know, along the way are actually, they're better than the cars themselves, in our opinion. You know, you get involved in a car and it's a labor of love, and you have the opportunity to meet people who love everything, you know, that we love, have the same interests, and you know, you get an opportunity to make a dream come true. And they're painful. You know, these are expensive, and they're time-consuming projects.
Does it add more time for people that want to come in and work on it themselves?
Typically not.
Okay.
No.
Are you given a discount because there's less labor because they're doing it?
I know
they're
where
doing some of it
you're coming
themselves?
from. Yeah. So
Sometimes it's harder to like tell somebody that doesn't know what they're doing. Here's how you do it. Then you got to make sure they're doing it right.
yeah.
But I guess if it's their car, they can do it any way they want, right?
Yeah, typically, you know, that doesn't happen during, you know, working hours, but, you know, on the weekends, if we're up there messing with one of our cars and, you know, we have a car owner now we're doing another Chevelle for that he's only about 45 minutes from the shop, so he'll come in and, you know, it's important that if they have an opportunity to be a part of that project, that they absolutely are. You know, not only the fact of maybe shaving a little bit off the cost of the bill, but
Makes them understand where all the hours go when they
Sure.
come in and start sanding on parts and stuff and see how long it actually takes. It's like, okay.
and just to be a part of that project, you know, we absolutely welcome it when possible. Yeah, for sure.
So when you said that you still paint, do a lot of the painting yourself. Are you trying to manage that where like a couple of days a week or a couple of days a month you're just sort of in that mode and you're batching through several paint jobs, or
No.
do you just do one, then go back to doing office work, do another? go
We
back
we
to doing
typically we like to have 2 painted cars, you know, there at one time, but you know, the process after paint is huge. The wet sanding and buffing, you know, the color sanding and buffing. So once the car is painted, you know, there is so much time that goes into cutting and buffing a car. You know, we start with 600 grit and we finish with 5,000 grit. And if you're doing a Camaro versus, you know, a big B body, you'll put 170, 180 hours in wet sanding a car to get that show quality finish, and then you'll start buffing it. So when the paintwork is done, you know, honestly, we're
There's
just
a whole
kind of
nother
getting
process
started.
started.
There's
Yeah.
a whole other process.
Yeah.
So we typically like to keep 2 painted cars, going at at the same time, or have 2, because there's a drying that that's involved in that. But we definitely aren't painting 1 a week, for sure.
Now I noticed this car. One thing that's different than say the Chevelle and the Camaro on either side of it. Under the hood and the trunk, it's all body color, glossy paint. Are you doing any kind of finishing on that, or are you just spraying that and not worrying about the underside of
We duplicate that same look. If you look underneath this bird, they had a gray primer at that manufacturing plant. When they painted these cars, same thing, that white overspray blew in on the belly of the car, creating that look.
But they did finish the inside of the trunks.
They did finish the
Engine
inside
bay
of the
and
trunk,
body color.
engine bay.
The way
Yeah.
Dodge and Plymouth did
Okay.
everything.
Yep. So as you painted that firewall nut, that white paint blew underneath the car, so we
Got it.
duplicate that look. But
But when you do the cut and buff, you're typically just doing that on the
Generally,
outside
the outside.
surfaces.
we are, yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Plus the very tops of them inner fenders, if there's a big chunk of something in there, we'll get rid of that just because it's there.
Yeah.
But generally, it's all outside.
Well, very cool, guys. Well, is this something that you imagine you're always going to be doing until you retire? It sounds like this is probably a passion. Are there other things you want to do professionally, or what's the goal?
No, pretty much it.
Yeah.
That's all I
Is
know how to
that-
do.
Yeah. That's the only thing.
And honestly, it's what we love to do. So there's no sense in changing it now.
Well, it comes through in the work. Maybe we can get a closer look. You guys
Yeah.
care if we walk over and take a
Yeah,
look?
that'd be great.
Awesome. All right. All right, guys, so think of this as just like show and tell time. Tell me some cool things, and let's just start with some detail here.
One of the neat paint features is the trim tag. As you'll see, it's got one painted screw, one screw that's not. So this tag was put in here. It was folded up, and when they painted it, it got paint underneath. It was then pushed down, and then the screw put in it. And that's why you'll see one.
the fold and the tag there.
You got it.
So you guys are emulating the same process.
Yep, and that's Randy had a great original car. So when you're blessed to be a part of a car that's so original and hasn't been, although this car was painted once, some of those features were still there. So you're able to document that stuff, versus a car that's been through the restoration process several times, or it's been in other people's hands. So that's just a neat feature.
Well, they did get rights from Warner Brothers for the Roadrunner emblems and the purple Roadrunner horn.
Oh, okay. So that horn it came purple like that,
The
and
beep beep horn.
got it.
All it makes is that little.
I wonder how much money Warner Brothers got for every Roadrunner sold. Huh. Okay. And so that's the 446 pack engine there. So the exhaust manifolds and all that, would that have been there never would have been paint or anything on those, right? Oh, okay. Got it.
Or it had been burned off. Yeah, it doesn't last very long. This is actually a car that Randy, he will drive it to local shows. This is not one that
enjoys it?
we trailer. Correct. Yeah, he does run it. Doesn't run it much, but he does enjoy the car.
Well, take me around. Show me
Back
more
in the
stuff.
late 80s, when his daughter wanted to learn how to drive a 4-speed, this is what he put her in.
No kidding. No kidding. Wow. Wow. I could not imagine. I'm teaching my son how to drive right now. He's 16. He's about to get his license, and he's actually going to get the car he came home from the hospital in. I had a 98 Honda CRV. That was my daily driver. First new car I ever got. I was in college. I bought half. My parents bought half. But I needed something reliable to get to Cincinnati and Tennessee back and forth in. So that's what we got. And, teaching him to drive, it's a stick, it's a manual. So he's learning to drive manual. I couldn't imagine putting him in this for those driving
You
experiences.
can see none of this from inside. You
Yeah.
have no idea where the front end.
Yeah, we would only be doing that in wide open parking lots.
This car still has all its original interior, with exception to the rug and the headliner.
Really?
So it does. Yeah, this was a
Wow.
seats, door panels, dash, all the gauges.
Any repair work that had to be done on any of that?
Nope.
Just cleaned up and
Yep, just
Wow.
cleaned it up, yeah.
That is
like I said,
amazing.
with the exception to the the rug and the headliner, it's all original.
That's amazing. It looks brand new. So those were those mats that actually would have been like that?
I don't think
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
Yeah, because that
He sourced.
style
Yeah, he
of
sourced
rubber-
those.
Okay. It doesn't look like that would have been something. It probably would have been more of a I guess like a sheet vinyl or something of the day. Well, they fit. They look nice.
Yep.
Okay.
Joe, you know more about the reason for the window plug than I do. That's a great feature.
Oh yeah, that was for the aerodynamics. The Roadrunners, they got a different curved back glass in them, so they pulled it out. They put this.
Was
plastic-
it an inset glass? Or did it go back and come back in?
No, like I say, it was just completely different than this because,
Okay.
and they put a fiberglass plug in, and they just stuck it in.
Okay, yeah, you can almost
You
see
can
that
where the
brake
where the
line.
is right in
Yeah.
there. And they basically went over it with seam sealer and to save time and money, put the vinyl top on them. That's why you don't see Superbird
So all Superbirds had a vinyl top.
on it. So they could put this
They just hid
back
it.
window for aerodynamics. They just hid what's in there. If you pull this out, pull that package tray out, you can see where the original back glass should lay yet. That's all still in there.
Okay, wow.
That whole
And that's all fiberglass?
this part's metal.
Okay. That's amazing. So I read something about some aerodynamics testing, and there were some theories that actually like a vinyl or a slightly turbulated surface on the roof actually went faster because of I guess the dynamics of air adhesion of what's moving through it. A surface with a slight texture actually cut through the air faster. But I also think that maybe that was theory because maybe it was because of this when they only had
The race
vinyl
cars,
tops.
they painted the tops on.
Oh, really?
The race
Okay, so they
cars
didn't
were
have
painted.
vinyl.
They didn't have
okay.
vinyl. They just
Okay.
put the vinyl on the ones for public sale because the race cars, they didn't care how smooth it looked across there either. These, they wanted them to look a little more appealing to sale.
Well, if anyone knows anything about the whole idea of a roughened roof panel surface and aerodynamics, let us know in the comments because I'm kind of curious about that. But okay, so that's interesting. So painted for NASCAR, vinyl, selling to the public.
This is the bolt for the center part of the wing here, so that's the pivot point for the wing, so they can tilt that and adjust it for different pressure on it. And they put these extra braces in then, which connects down right by where the frame rails are at.
So that goes directly to the
Yeah,
supports for that
there's
wing.
the plate up under here. So the wing's not on there just for looks. It was very
Functional.
And the height of it, I guess, did they find through some kind of wind tunnel testing
They
that
wanted it
was
high enough to clear the roof line.
okay?
That way it would be hitting air.
So it's not getting any kind of turbulated air. It's just straight air. Okay.
With what their aerodynamics engineers come up with
Yeah,
apparently.
I mean, it basically looks like a plane wing flipped upside down, so it's pushing down.
And that's all aluminum, cast aluminum.
Really? Wow. Okay.
So they're
Cross member and everything cast aluminum.
they're substantial when you pick them up.
Wow. Now, with this little decal that was there, everything was there? Okay. I saw it on the other side. Yeah, here. So Warner Brothers 7 Arts Inc. So in the trunk, did all the Roadrunners have the mats or the trunk mats as well?
Pretty much put gaps in it.
Okay. So it sounds like there was probably a little bit more of a deluxe treatment with a painted interior of the mats and just standard across Mopars of the time versus like GM or Ford, or do you know?
GM did the splatter in the trunk. Mopar always painted theirs.
Okay. Well, as I understand it too, the mats in a lot of the GM cars were options. They weren't standard.
Yeah, they
Do you
weren't
know,
standard.
Were
Yep.
the mats standard and?
I don't know about on the Bird if they were standard or not.
Okay, I was just curious.
Can tell
I
you.
don't know. It's interesting on the inside. It looks like there's like a spatter texture, but then it's painted over top of that.
Yeah, so they put just like a sound deadener undercoating inside the quarter panels, and then they were painted over. And that actually happens in if you look at any of the Camaros. Chevelle never did it, but the Camaros did it. We've done enough Mustangs. They just put like a sound deadener in there. I don't know if it's like an anti-flutter,
Okay.
or basically just a sound deadener. But yeah, we duplicated it when we got this car. It had the original quarters on it, and we duplicated that look.
The other thing in the Superbirds is they had to have this little piece back in here at the hinge that it hits on. Otherwise,
Oh, it would hit the wings.
the wing. So they just welded a little spacer in there about that big to keep the trunk lid from going up too far.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, these were not built for large baggage, easy in and out, I guess.
If you look underneath the car, you'll see the original like gray colored primer. That's how it was. And then as they painted the car, all the overspray, kind of blew in on the car. As you get towards the center of the car, it'll turn more gray.
Got it.
Just in that gray primer area. But we try to duplicate, what we find in a good original car as best we can.
Okay. Well, very cool. Well, guys, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Jamie,
Appreciate the time.
Joe, thanks, guys. All right. Keep it looking good.
Thank you again for checking this out. Again, if you liked this, consider sharing it with a friend, give us a like, and drop a comment. Tell us what you liked most, what you learned, what you didn't like. It all helps us figure out what to do next and what direction to take the channel. And again, if you want more, consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything and it helps us tremendously. We hope you've enjoyed watching as much as we've enjoyed making it. Thanks for watching.